What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of JoesTech. Obviously, I might sound a little funny today because I'm just getting over a cold, so bear with me. Hopefully, I'll be better in the next video. But either way, today we're going to be taking a look at a new power supply from NZXT, which is the new E850. It's been out for a little while. Maybe you guys have seen it, maybe not. Obviously, we don't look at power supplies too often on the channel, but the main reason I wanted to look at this one is it does have somewhat of a unique feature, which is its ability to monitor digital voltage and temperature from your OS versus having to, add some type of outlet in or temperature probes or anything like that. So we'll get more into that in a second. But why don't we go ahead and open this bad boy up and see what comes included. In the components list included with the E850, we have the 20+4 pin eATX power connection, two 4+4 pin CPU power connections, 3 PCIe power connections, 2 triple link peripheral connections, which are going to be your Molex connectors, 2 4-port SATA cables, 1 mini USB to USB header cable, mounting screws, and of course the power cable for the power supply itself. As you guys can see in the picture, they've also included a purple bag to keep all your cables sorted in when you're not using them. And as you guys can see, they've added a nice black cable jacketing around the 24 pin, the CPU connections, and then of course the PCIe connections. Most of the flat cables like the SATA connections don't have it, but obviously that's just for fitting the cables into tighter places. In this E-series of power supplies that NZXT's put out, there's actually 3 models, which I'll go ahead and leave links to down in the description if you guys want to check them out. But obviously keep in mind that those other units may have a few different parts than the E850 that we're looking at today. As you guys can see on the back of the power supply, there is a mini USB connection, and that's what's going to hand off that data to your PC so that you can kind of see what's going on from the CAM software that NZXT puts out. For this step, obviously, you'll need a USB 2.0 header on your motherboard. If you don't have one of those, one of the methods I've used in the past is I've routed from inside my case a regular mini USB cable to the outside of the case and connected it to the rear I/O. Obviously, that's not the most aesthetically pleasing look. However, it does work if you're in a bind and maybe you're using those other headers for front USB connections, or maybe even just like a AIO or whatever it is. So for those of you guys who are interested in how that data is received, I'm going to refer to my notes here. NZXT has implemented a Texas Instruments UCD3138 digital signal processor that utilizes the power management bus to provide CAM with data on PSU power output by rail. So what that means is that the Texas Instruments chip that NZXT has implemented in the power supply's design allows that chip to read the data right directly off the rails and convert that into data to be ingested into CAM for you guys to view live. This power supply was designed with 3 12-volt rails, obviously, so you could separate your CPU load and the 2 GPU loads if you guys do have 2 GPUs. Of course, there is a 5-volt rail and a 3.3-volt rail as well, and those are also being monitored via the CAM software as well. Once you have your PSU installed and you have your CAM application installed, unless you've already installed it from previous NZXT peripherals, you want to go ahead and dive into the software, so let's go ahead and do that. So as you guys can see, we're now in the operating system of our test machine here, and we've already installed the power supply, and this is basically the dashboard you get with CAM, and that's basically going to break down your temperature, load, your clock speed, all that good stuff. You get this stuff by default out of the box. What you don't get is this tab here, and this is going to break down the wattage usage of your CPU, GPU, and then the other power rails, however they're split up between your other peripherals. We do have an advanced tab as well, and this breaks it down by the rail, the 3.3 volt usage, voltage and current, 5 volt, and then your 12 volt rails as well. And that gives you the combined voltage. And of course, you can make adjustments if you wanted to enable multi-rail OCP. From what I can tell, basically allows you to limit the amount of power amperage to your CPU 4+4 pin and then your PCIe 6+2s, just to limit the amount of power. For some reason you didn't want them consuming over a certain amount, you could make those adjustments here. But for the most part, I think everyone's going to kind of monitor this. Just to give you guys an idea, obviously the temperature is right here, so you want to keep an eye on that. And then if, let's say, For example, like here, if we want to run a Cinebench and we want to do a quick test on the CPU, you'll be able to kind of see that when we run a CPU stress test, we're going to see an increase in the CPU wattage. And let's see if we have a change in temp. I don't think we're going to. Yeah, and as you can see, the temp isn't really moving. But obviously this is just kind of minor use for a short amount of time. But you know, if you started to see this temperature spike quite a bit, then that's when you would probably become concerned, and you could follow up with NZXT and see if there's any hardware issues possibly with your device. Obviously, the guys over at NZXT try to put a lot of time and thought into their products, and the same can be said about the E850. Obviously, this is a 80+ gold rated power supply. It's built using Japanese capacitors rated to 105 degrees Celsius. And if this isn't enough to put you at ease, obviously with a 80+ gold power supply, you're going to get that 10-year warranty, which you can work directly with NZXT through if you guys run into any issues. Just a few thoughts off the top of my head. The aesthetics of the E850, it does look pretty nice. Obviously, it's pretty minimalistic. There's nothing too crazy. We have a pretty low profile NZXT logo on the outside of the power supply itself. For most cases nowadays, it seems like a lot of those are going to a basement style, so you're probably not even going to see the power supply. But if you did, obviously it does have a pretty good look to it. This next one's a double-edged sword. A lot of people complain about anything NZXT when it comes to the CAM software. A lot of people don't like to use that software. Obviously, in this case, if you want to take advantage of the monitoring utilities of this power supply, you're going to need the CAM software. If you have it already, then it's not going to make a difference whether you use it or not for the E850. If you don't have it, you do need that application in order to do the monitoring that this power supply is designed for. Now, I know a lot of people complain about this because it seems like I always get a handful of comments that say, like an extra application uses up a little bit of resources, or, there's always that one person that comments saying that CAM brought their system to its knees. I think at this point, NZXT has done a lot of modifications to the software, a lot of changes, and, they've improved the functionality of it far from what it was a few years ago. I will say that I've had the CAM software in my system probably for the last, I don't know, like 2+ years probably, and I haven't had any like ongoing issues with the application. I think, a couple years ago when the Air RGB fans first came out, I had a couple problems like getting those fans connected to the application, but other than that, I haven't had any problems, and obviously they've resolved a lot of those issues as time has gone by, so I think it's safe to say that with this product, you shouldn't have any problems getting it to connect to CAM. Of course, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'll go ahead and leave links to everything down in the description below, but if you guys are interested in adding this to an upcoming system or upgrading your own, there's 3 variants. There is an E500, which is priced at $89 US. There is the E650, which is priced at $109 US. And of course, there is the E850 that we're looking at today, and that one's $149 US. For the cost of the E-series power supplies compared against the monitoring utility that you get, I gotta say, I think that the price is pretty fair, especially when you compare it to other comparable models that are on the market. Only thing I want to ask of you guys is, of course, to let me know down in the comments section below, is this something you guys think that you would want to implement in your system? Do you think it's too early? Do you think it matters when you're building a PC and you want it to be crazy fast for gaming or whatever it is? Do you really care how much power it's consuming? Or is maybe just the temperature portion? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Of course, lastly, if you guys don't mind leaving me a thumbs up on the way out. I know my voice is a little annoying in this video, but give me a slide and give me that thumbs up on your way out. Of course, if you guys want to see more tech videos like this in the future, I've got some exciting stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. Lots of goodies to share with you guys. I'm sure with CES coming up, there's going to be some more goodies. So feel free to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, this has been JoesTech. I'll see you in the next video.